Hello all. Welcome to the CFOA flag update. My apologies that it's been a couple of weeks since we've had one of these. Let's cover a couple of topics. Motion at the line of scrimmage. Team A is allowed one player in motion moving parallel to or away from the line of scrimmage. This is the definition out of our CIF, Girls Flag Football Rule Book. We know that, and we've talked about before, that 2 yards off the line of scrimmage is meant to basically ensure that they are not having their motion on the line of scrimmage. We're not requiring them to be a full 2 yards off, but they must be clearly off the line of scrimmage. We've had some issue with motion moving forward from the NFHS tackle rulebook. Only one A player may be in motion at the snap, and then only if such motion is not towards the opponent's goal line. Essentially the same rule. A shift is different than motion at the time of the snap. A legal shift, all players must come to a complete stop for 1 second prior to the snap. Any motion that moves towards the opponent's goal line is considered a shift. So if that player is in motion forward, they must come to a complete stop for 1 second prior to the snap of the ball. Any of that motion. If they take 2 steps forward and then turn sideways and move their motion along the line of scrimmage, that player, because their motion included a forward motion, that player must come to a complete stop. It then becomes a shift rather than motion at the time of the snap. A couple of teams that are trying to get tricky with the way they're snapping the ball and deceptive about who's going to receive the snap of the ball. We're okay with this, and we want them to design great plays. But if there is forward motion, meaning toward the opponent's goal line or toward the line of scrimmage, that player must come to a complete stop for 1 second prior to the snap of the ball. We're going to cover this in every single one because we're still getting it wrong. We are getting feedback that we are still calling illegal spinning when it is legal. Please know that in the rule book, the language is not correct under play for the offense, 5.6.6. Please use the language from the definition section. The spin must be greater than 360 degrees while moving along a straight line. To be greater than 360 degrees without a change of direction, the player must make 2 complete turns along a straight line. That is the only thing that will be a foul when it comes to spinning. I'll have some video that shows legal spins in just a moment. We also are getting some questions about footballs. Please do not get involved in the footballs. Please have the opponent who is having issue with a football that's being used file a report with CIF and let the teams sort this out with administration and CIF. The directive from CIF regarding equipment is to allow the contest to be played and have the team file a report. Until we have an approved ball, officials are not to get involved in this. Please know that there are some NFL balls out there, balls labeled with an NFL logo that meet the size requirements, but still say juniors on them, okay? Sizing requirements trumps what the ball says. And since we don't take a tape measure out on the field with us, please alert the school that has an issue that they have the option to file a report with CIF. Let's move to some game film. I'm going to tell you what you're going to see in each of these plays. And hope that you understand what's going on here. So in this first play, I want you to watch the movement by the officials. I want you to notice how the official starting, the ball's going to be snapped at the 5-yard line. I want you to notice how the official at the 5-yard line moves immediately to the goal line. Don't be confused by the fact that we also have a teaching official on the field here for one of our newer officials. I want you to notice how the official at the top of the screen moves to the end line to officiate the end line. This is how we want to officiate these plays when they're snapped inside the no-run zone. So from the 5-yard in, we want the official that is the rush line judge to move to the back line, and we want the official that is on the line of scrimmage to move to the goal line to officiate the goal line. In this instance, the R, the white hat, is expected to move in a way that allows them to officiate the line of scrimmage. So this R would roll with the quarterback if necessary to officiate anything that would happen at the line of scrimmage. We'll watch it again. Again, notice how as the ball snapped, which is right at the start of the play, both officials are on the move. You can see them in that play. They get to where they need to get to. In this instance, you can see at the top of the screen, now our official who is in a perfect line to see this catch and make a ruling on this play. And we have an official, don't pay attention to the one that's standing there. That's a teaching official. The official who is actually working the game has moved themselves to the goal line to officiate the goal line. And if necessary, the R in the offensive backfield would roll to the line of scrimmage to officiate anything that's happening there. That is great movement that we want to see by our officiating crews, where when the ball is snapped from the 5-yard line in on scoring plays, the rush line judge is moving to the end line of the end zone, and the line of scrimmage official is moving to the goal line. On this play, we're going to see a very obvious defensive pass interference. Some officials are still missing this call. I want you to notice how the defense plays directly through the back of the receiver. This is a very clear and obvious defensive pass interference. It may look as though she's attempting at the ball, and she is, I would say, on some level, but she does interfere with the receiver's ability to catch the ball by playing through her back. This is a defensive pass interference. Formations inside the no-run zone. Please know that motion that happens at the snap of the ball, even if it's legal motion, may put a player inside that 4-yard barrier around the ball that we're trying to accomplish. In this instance, the ball's being snapped. We have about 2 yards to go for our score. Our goal line is pushed out to this 20-yard line. Okay. I know every field setup is different, so I just want to make sure you know that. So as this play develops and we go through, you're going to see a girl come in motion, and she is now within that 4 yards at the time of the snap. Now, in this instance, this is still legal because we only have one other player, team A player, who's within 4 yards of the ball. The quarterback and the running back are 4 yards off the ball. Now, we're not splitting hairs here. We're not going to get into whether they are actually 4 yards. They're 4 yards off the ball. At the time of the snap, their feet are back far enough. They may be leaning forward. They may be slightly into that, but we're not splitting hairs. Remember that this 4 yards off the ball is both north and south and east and west. But I wanted you to see this play because I want you to understand that this motion by this player puts her inside that 4-yard barrier that we're looking for when it comes to snaps inside the no-run zone and calling illegal formations. Don't complicate things. In this play, we do end up with only 3 inside, but be aware that motion could put a 4th player inside that 4-yard barrier that we're looking at. This is a play you want to have your antennas up on, and just be aware of how many players at the time of the snap are within 4 yards of the ball. Again, that 4 yards is both north, south, east, west. On this play, we want to know, actually, we're going to go here. On this play, we know that a lot of our officials who are working at the R position, at the white hat position, maybe new to football, maybe new to flag football. Please know that a quarterback and or a running back who are lined up off of the ball here could false start, okay? This running back's motion at the time of the snap is going to be forward. We want to kill this play and we want to have a false start. Let's watch it through a couple of times. Now, given what we just talked about, again, what we want to have is this motion is forward. And if she's going to move forward at all, she has to come completely set for 1 full second. This play should be whistled dead, and we should have a false start on the running back in this play. Okay? We should have a false start on the running back at this play. She is moving forward at the time of the snap. She can do that, and she can go to or near the line of scrimmage and reset for 1 complete second, and that would make it legal. But in this play, we should be whistling this dead for a false start. I'm going to play it through and let you watch it at full speed a couple of more times. Again, that play should be whistled dead at the time of the snap. Line of scrimmage officials. You need to know that your white hat is going to want to know a couple of things when it comes to these option plays. Let's watch this again at full speed. Now, what are the 2 things that your referee, your white hat, may want to know at this? Number 1, did the quarterback cross the line of scrimmage while they still possess the ball? So we're looking at the ball being snapped from the 34-yard line. We'll go off of the lines that are on the field just for the sake of making it, right? So as this quarterback runs forward with the ball, what we need to know from our line of scrimmage official is she clearly across the line of scrimmage before she pitches this ball? Now, why do we need to know that? Because that would count as her quarterback run. The person who took the snap of the ball crosses the line of scrimmage with the ball, that's a quarterback run, counts towards their 1 quarterback run towards per series of downs. The second thing we need to know from our line of scrimmage official is, did this ball travel backwards? We know clearly in this instance, she does not cross the line of scrimmage and the ball does travel backwards. Now, you're going to hear confusing things, and I believe there may be even some confusing language in the rule book. This is a backwards pass or a backwards pitch. If this ball contacts the ground, we are spotting the ball where the ball hits the ground. Okay. Now, I understand that then this ball does, because she tips it, does end up moving forward, but the rule book says a backwards toss, a lateral toss, a fumble that travels backwards, we are spotting at the point the ball contacted the ground. So in this particular instance, this team gained 1 yard just because this ball traveled backwards and then got tipped by this player. Now, we have to use the language in the rule book, can't change the rule book, so got to spot that ball Any backwards fumble that travels backwards, we're spotting where the ball contacts the ground. If that player hadn't tipped it, that spot would have been a whole lot different, but that's the language in the rule book, and that's what we have to do. We have another one, this one by the other team at this point. I'll let you watch it through. Again, this is going to be an option play. Line of scrimmage officials, we need to know from you whether the quarterback crosses the line of scrimmage while she still possesses the ball, or if that toss happens before that. And we also need to know if the ball clearly travels laterally along the line of scrimmage or backwards to make this legal. Now, again, difficult to tell. We want to know that they are clearly across the line of scrimmage. It looks to me like she's pitching the ball right at this moment in time, which is on the line of scrimmage. We want them to be clearly over the line of scrimmage, which means we would wait until about here. If the ball is still in her possession, that would count towards her one run. Line of scrimmage officials, you need to know that your referee, your white hat, could be coming to you, asking you questions. Did the quarterback cross the line of scrimmage while they still possess the ball? Line of scrimmage officials, you need to have that information because it counts towards the quarterback's run. We also need to know from our line of scrimmage officials if that ball traveled forward or backward. We could have an illegal forward pass, and it determines the spot of the ball if the ball happens to be fumbled, right? If we have a forward pass on this play, we have an incomplete pass, and we're going back to the line of scrimmage. If we have a backwards pass, we could be spotting the ball from further back. Referees, you need to know this. If you are a referee on a game, you need to be knowing to ask these questions of your line of scrimmage officials. All officials need to be pre-gaming this. When you get to your field, you should be there a half an hour ahead of time, and you should have conversations as a crew about these types of situations so that as you go onto the field to officiate your game, your brains are in the right spot to know what you're looking for at every time. Okay. We're going to watch one that shows a holding play. So watch this through. I'm going to let you watch it again. And while you watch it again, I want you to think about why I would call this, or why we would call this, holding on the defense. Does the defender impede the progress, the forward progress of the ball carrier while they are attempting at the flags? Does the defender impede the forward progress of the ball carrier while they are attempting at the flags? Now, we know ball carrier has a responsibility to avoid the defender. Could the ball carrier have made a move to avoid this defender? Perhaps. Could the defender have made a move to not impede the progress of this ball carrier? Perhaps. Maybe I have incidental on this and I have nothing. And maybe I have defensive holding because the defender impeded the progress of the ball carrier. When we are talking with coaches about this call, when we are talking with the players about this call, players should know and coaches should be instructing. The defenders need to be attempting at the outside hip area where the flag is. When a defender comes straight up on the ball carrier, like they do in this play, attempting at both flags, right? This defender got a catch here. She's now coming straight into that ball carrier. Now, this happens pretty quick, and I'll tell you in real time it's even quicker. But this defender makes a little move, and truly gets in the offense's way, the offense doesn't really have time to avoid here. This defender should be going for the side hip area, not straight on. Right? And we see this a lot. We see defenders coming in going for both flags at both hips. Defenders need to know, and you officials need to know, that the defenders need to attempt at the side hip area, not straight on, or they could be called for a holding foul. Okay? This is a 50-50 call. It's a marginal call. You could have incidental. You could have nothing. You could have holding on the defense because she impedes the progress. I don't know that the offense, as they turn here, really has time to avoid the defense. So I don't know that I would have an offensive foul here. However, we could, if that ball carrier has time to avoid the defense, they are responsible to avoid the defense. Okay? When you're making these calls, those are the three things that you need to keep in mind. Who was responsible to avoid contact? Did they have time to avoid the contact? And how am I going to call a foul, or am I going to call a foul here? Lots of conversations that we've had over the last little bit have been about the fact that this is labeled as a non-contact sport. However, much like basketball, there will be some contact. Your responsibility as an official is to know who was responsible to avoid that contact, and then judge and determine if they had space and time to avoid. If they did, we probably have a foul. If they did not, we may have incidental. Someone in flag football is always responsible to avoid contact. In this play, we're going to see an example of a legal spin. Again, we'll watch it all the way through, and then we'll slow it down. Now, while the ball carrier's flag was pulled, I do want you to notice that if, see this change of direction, she tries to spin out of this. This is what we want the players doing. We want our offensive players doing this, coming up here and then attempting to get out of it. She does get her flag pulled in this instance. However, should the defender not be able to grasp a flag here and this player spins out of this and continues downfield, we have a legal play. Legal. This is exactly what we want our offensive players doing. This is exactly what we want our ball carriers doing, is attempting to spin out of this and get out of that rather than taking that force straight on. We're next going to look at some other videos. This is another example of a legal spin. It's going to happen very quickly. We'll slow it down as much as we can. This is a cell phone video, so it's not as great. We'll watch it through at full speed again. Now that you've picked up the ball carrier, pass comes to the bottom of the field. Here's our receiver catching this ball. Defender attempting at a flag. Another defender comes up, and right here behind the two, watch this player do a 360-degree turn, avoid the flagpole, and continue on. I understand that our box gets in the way a little bit, but boom, we have a 360-degree turn. and she continues on without a flag being pulled, this is legal. It is not greater than 360 degrees. And on some level, I could even argue for a mild change of direction. Okay, so two things here. It's not greater than 360 degrees. And we could even argue some change of direction. So to have a spinning foul, that would have to be 2 complete turns without a change of direction. This is legal. Leave this alone. Do not call this a foul. This is a good job by this offensive player to avoid a flagpole and, quite frankly, avoid a collision. If they had not done this, if this ball carrier had done something different and continued without this spinning motion, this is not an illegal spin. This is legal. If they had not done this play, we could have had a really gnarly collision. So again, this motion is legal, and we want them trying to do this because it helps avoid contact and makes our sport more of a non-contact sport. Watch this again. So we have our white hat calling a holding foul because right here, she has her hands on her already, obviously impedes her progress. And even though she comes away with the flag, this can be called, right? This defender impedes the progress of the ball carrier, even though she's attempting at the flag. She's got both arms wrapped around her. Okay. This defender needs to be going for one flag at one hip, not going for flags straight on. If we're going for both flags at the same time here, chances are we're going to impede the progress of that ball carrier, and that defender could be called for a holding foul. I'll give you a clue. The interception is legal. All is good with the interception. I want you to keep your eyes on the team B player that runs with the girl who intercepted the ball down the field. And right here, blocks for her ball carrier. Right there. This Team B player moving with the interceptor down the field, that second Team B player, that second girl in white, has no business being there. And she absolutely impedes the defender's ability and right to get to the ball. We absolutely have a blocking foul here, illegal blocking on A. Interception stands. We're marking a blocking foul from the spot of the foul. This touchdown doesn't count. We bring this back. We are enforcing a blocking foul from probably about right here, somewhere around the 50-yard line. Be aware of this on interceptions, especially because these players get excited and they want to run with their teammates who just made an amazing play, and they don't intend to get in the way, but they do. It's still a foul, even if unintentional. Same thing with receivers who move downfield and then don't catch a pass, however, continue with their teammate who did catch a pass and get in the way of defenders attempting at the flag. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for listening. I hope you learned something.